And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. What we're going to talk about today is to be or not to be feminine. Now that is truly the question. We get that back from Shakespeare, from his famous play, but today it's time to apply it in terms of goal setting when it comes to your, in some ways, orientation. Who are you? Are you feminine or are you masculine? Are you striving for masculinity in everything that you do? Or are you just being who you are? You see, in terms of women, very often we realize as we grow up that girls tend to give relationship advice to guys this way. They say, you should just be yourself. Now, if you are a guy who has any form of dating experience, you will know that this is the worst relationship advice in the world to a guy. To a girl, however, it's great advice. Girls should be allowed to be themselves, and usually if they are themselves, they will attract the right guy, and then probably, it will work out. It never does, but, they have a hope that it will work out, at least, if she is herself. But for guys, we cannot be ourselves because we start out, all of us start out as feminine. So I'm not saying that you should be someone else unless that someone else is your masculine self. Let's go back to the definitions of masculinity and femininity once again. Masculinity is having full control, completely full control over one's emotions. I'll add something to that this time around. It's basically doing something despite of one's emotions. That's also a part of it. But in the end, that's a masculine trait that will lead you to more masculinity. As an example, just briefly before we define femininity, if you are a sales representative and you are afraid of picking up the phone and calling clients, potential clients, then you're going to have emotions, fear. But the more you take action, the more you pick up that phone and you make 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 phone calls every single day, guess what? It becomes routine. Whatever becomes routine becomes boring and mundane, and you basically don't feel anything any longer. Does that make sense? Whoa, you've suddenly turned something into masculinity. Beautiful. If you accept doing repetitive, boring, mundane tasks in your daily life, you're going to have a blast. You're going to have a fantastic life because it's all about repeating the same boring, mundane tasks every single day until you master it. Watched a fantastic video yesterday from Project Life Mastery about Dan Lok and how to persuade anyone. That's a really good video, by the way. I'll post the link down below. But it helps you to understand how to, in a masculine way, persuade someone to do what you want them to do. Beautiful. Control. Full control over one's emotions. That's masculinity. Femininity is having no emotional control or no control over one's emotions at all. And the need to actually either pop pills for any condition whatsoever, or the need for substances in order to get excited and to not be depressed. That's a problem. You see the difference. You have a choice every single day and every single moment to choose masculinity. Obviously, you understand now this is completely different from the majority voice out there. The media, women, And more men these days are saying you should be allowed to express yourself. And yes, I do agree with that, because expressing one's emotions is part of understanding the truth. But if you're just expressing your emotions simply just to express your emotions, not to change and improve and become more masculine, then it's a problem. I encourage people to speak the truth to me. So if they're feminine and they have certain addictions, I'm a coach, right? If they have certain addictions or difficulties in their life, I want them to tell me the truth. Because if they don't tell me the truth about what's really going on, their feminine nature and their addictions and things that they're uncomfortable talking to me about, how can I help them to ask them the correct questions to take them to masculinity if I don't know what's going on? We always want the truth. We don't want gay guys to be in the closet. That's not going to help. Remember, anything that you keep down and fester it down, okay, will eventually create exponential growth. So we want emotional stability. If you have emotional stability and you're not suppressing your feelings, then you have the chance to keep the emotional stability. Does that make sense? Like, you don't want an exponential growth curve in a negative manner. The negative exponential growth curve of bad things is horrible. This is what caused feminine men to create a lot of issues in the world today. Murder, rape, forcing others to do what they don't want to do. That all originates from that person's, that man's, lack of masculinity and lack of emotional control. Because he needs to control them and force them right now, instead of focusing on how can I help them to want to control themselves? Or how can I ask the right questions? So let's go through what femininity truly is so you can decide against femininity. We're going to make it very, very simple so there's no doubt about it. In some ways, the reason why I at times dislike poetry is because you have to read between the lines. And of course, I understand the standpoint of reading between the lines because you don't want everyone to get the message. But in some aspects, man, we want everyone to receive the message. Yeah, but what's the beauty in that? Who cares about beauty? Like, yes, beauty has its place, but when there's tons of problems and tons of issues in today's world, beauty is the last thing we should be thinking about. And in some ways, the moment you turn towards masculinity, that's when you see the true beauty of the world. Because you find the truth. You're not confused anymore. And you can do something about it. So anyway, femininity in men. I would say the originator in all of this is blame. Blaming someone else for anything and everything. Blame allows other people, okay, if you blame, allows other people to receive the responsibility. Here you go. Take the responsibility. I don't want it. Because if I take the responsibility, then I need to change. I don't want to change. I want you to change. And if you do not change, I will force you to change. Doesn't work. You be the change. You cannot force other people to change. They have to change voluntarily. If they don't change voluntarily and you force them to change, guess what? Their mentality, their habitual thinking is gonna keep doing the thing that is bad that they're doing. And if they keep doing the thing that they're doing, even though you force them for a period of time, because you cannot be in all places all at once at all times, right? Same as God. I mean, some people say that God is everywhere all at once and all at the same time. Like, no. He's created systems, okay? Systems in place so that everything works naturally and systematically, okay? That system, I want that to be like this, great, so I don't have to physically be present at all times and all places, okay? The system is working, great, let me move on to the next system. And then he moves on to the next system, oh, great, fantastic, it's working, fantastic. And then he designs another system. This is how the world has become created. It's masculinity at its core. Is allowing people to choose for themselves so that they can become themselves. Not because you made it happen. Does that make sense? Blame is the biggest problem in feminine men today. This happened to me. I'm a victim. My health is bad. I'm a victim. It happened to me. What? How on earth did this happen to me? What happened to you is that you took certain choices. And those choices led you to where you are today. That's it. No other reason why your relationships are bad, your health is bad, and your finances are bad. There is no excuse. You are the problem. And that makes you the solution. What a message of hope for the world of men. Okay? If men understand that masculinity is taking 100% responsibility for every single thing that happens every single place in the world, you become the solution. You be the change, Mahatma Gandhi said. You be the change. We have to realize that our femininity is allowing us to become victims and blame other people and occurrences in our lives, right? A series of unfortunate events that we did not attract, but they came. And they gave you problems. And guess whose fault it was? It was you. Am I saying that my life is perfect when I say this? No. Am I saying that I'm perfectly masculine? No. But do I know that I am the problem and therefore the solution to all of my problems? Yes, I know that. What does that do to me? It makes me fired up outside my brain. If you want to find true motivation, it lies in taking 100% responsibility for everything. If I'm the change, I can do anything. Femininity in men is bad because we don't want people to blame other people. If you noticed, blaming is inherent in women. It's not a bad thing. It's a positive thing. Why is that a positive thing? Yes, women blame. It's fantastic. Why? Because it makes you the leader. You understand that principle. If you understand that when women blame, they are tapping into their feminine powers, allowing you to be the masculine one, to be the leader of the relationship, where you can say, you know what? I take the blame for that one. Thank you. I will change and I will improve. To everything. This is the key to never, ever, ever, ever getting a divorce. It's that simple. I'm revealing the secret of marital relationship to you right now. Guys will be like, what? This is no. Yes. This is how it works. This is the true secret for everything. You become masculine. You take upon yourself a responsibility. You make sure your wife is happy at all times. This is why I believe in the term happy wife, happy life. Simply because you are taking upon yourself the responsibility and the blame. And when you do that, you can change the environment. And when you change the environment, guess what? The woman in your life was not capable of producing that change, which means she's going to be like, oh, wow, you did it. And then you can say, yes, I did. And at that moment in time, guess what? She's now turned on because you have power. And when she sees you having power, she becomes bubbly. She becomes happy. She becomes excited about life. And life suddenly now becomes, there's so much need in the world and we can actually change it because my husband has all power. Exactly. Beautiful, isn't it? To be or not to be feminine? That is the question. If you understand the point of blame and responsibility, you'll understand every single aspect of life. Let's go into them. Ignorance. Ignorance is bliss? Or will the truth set you free? Ignorance keeps you in poverty in all aspects of life, where you basically give up on every single aspect of life and say, I'm happy here. Men are able to be happy down there, but it limits their happiness. You want exponential growth in happiness, not, I'm happy. Do you understand? If you never progress and accept the truth as your own, you will never get the exponential growth curve of happiness. The truth is the truth. And the truth is education. Not academic education, true education of how things truly work. The definition of truth, that which works in the long run and in the big scheme of things. You have to put that at the end, okay? It's not just that which works, because sometimes we think something works, but it didn't work, okay? That which works in the long term and in the big scheme of things. Okay? Ignorance, feminine. Truth, masculine. Okay, when it comes to death, feminine or masculine? Death is feminine. It's giving up. Masculinity does not give up. That is why I know that there's a solution whereby man and woman can live forever. Or else there would be it wouldn't make any sense. Okay, so for you guys who love health out there, there is a solution. And if you find the solution, it will make you filthy, stinking rich. Next one, party. It's feminine. If you drink alcohol, if you smoke cigarettes, if you smoke weed, if you do any single thing in order to spike your emotions, why do you need to spike your emotions? Why aren't you happy at all times and in all places stably? You need those spikes? Why? Why do you need those spikes? Because it makes you happy? Really? Taking those substances makes you happy in the long term, stably? No, exactly. It's feminine. All forms of substances that hinder the truth, that drowns you into believing that this is just how it is. Feminine. Masculine is not needing any substance other than healthy food that's nutritious that you need for your body. That's just the system God designed for us. But other than that, why would you need the other stuff? You don't. Another one. Anger and aggression. My statement on that is, if you are right and you get angry, you're wrong. Because you now have become feminine. You are a masculine creature. You're right. And since you're right, you don't have to care. That's the beautiful thing about being right. Like, you don't need to care that someone is wrong. Because you know you're right. So, and you don't even have to say it. It's just within you. You're just like, I you know, I know I'm right. You're just saying that within you, right? And if they still are on and on and on and on about it, it's wasting your time. So it's time to get out of there and move on. Because you're not going to change this person, obviously, because he got angry. And if he gets angry and offended, he obviously is putting his fingers in his ears and he does not want to listen anymore, which means he's a done cause, at least at that moment in time. So you can head back and then you're like, if you want to talk about this anytime, just stop by, whatever. But you won't have much time for him in the future anyway. Diversification. If you have a lack of focus and you're diversified amongst all the different categories of life and all you have so much to do and there's so little time and blah, 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 it's because you're feminine. Femininity is diversified. Masculinity is focused, channeled emotions, right? Warren Buffett, his one rule investing is basically masculinity. Investing rationally at all times and all places and only when it's the right time. If you study his stuff, it's like, it's masculinity written with huge letters. Masculine investing. That's Warren Buffett investing, okay? It's the only reason why his system works and why so many people use it. But they don't know that it's about femininity and masculinity. But it is. There you go. Another one. Okay, I'm gonna do this. Okay, just two more. I know it's long. My videos are long these days, but man, there's so much good information. And I have to start doing 2 videos per day or something because I have so many things I want to share. Sexuality. Uncontrolled sexuality, that is. Because sexuality is fantastic. We should love sexuality. It's the motivation force for us men. But uncontrolled sexuality is feminine. The fact that you are having a hyperdrive of ejaculation, you need ejaculation all the time, you're needy and desperate, and you're little bitch. That basically means you are feminine. To be feminine or not to be. Choosing masculinity means that you get your production levels at a stable level where you can control yourself and can use that energy for good. Use that energy to be productive and to create. It's called procreation, but it also creates pros. It's called procreation, creating babies, right? But when you're not creating babies, if you are emotionally stable when it comes to sexual matters, you will create a pro in you, a professional. Someone who knows what he's doing and he can handle anything that comes his way. Any guy who needs to have sex continuously and on and on and on and on, that's the only thing that he's thinking about, his levels are at a high level of hyperdrive and he ejaculates on a continuous basis, and his relationships in the long run with women will suck. And if they don't suck, if it seems like, he can get any girl he wants, it's amazing, he will never be able to retain them. It's a critical aspect to understand. He won't. So, anyway. And the last one, voting for socialism. Feminine. Always. Always. Communism and socialism are one of the same thing. You go for socialism, you are on your way to communism because power infests the government. Okay? The more power you give the government and that small elite of people who have not created anything other than laws to hinder your growth, it's a problem. You're feminine. If that's what you're voting for. If you're voting for capitalism, voluntaryism, it's masculine. And if you understand that point, you also understand that you don't need to debate and get angry with others for their political beliefs. Because that's just going to fester their beliefs in their minds even more. Emotional stability in every single aspect of life. That will produce exponential growth in relationships, the quality of your relationships, your health, creating optimal health for yourself. And at the end of your years, if we don't find a cure for death, you will be able to say, I lived a fantastic, optimal life. I loved my life because you were masculine. And the third one, money, man. Money is going to come to you in massive abundance when you apply the principles in this video. Make sure you like and subscribe. My name is Joseph Darling. This is the Men of High Value channel. I'll see you again tomorrow.